of June. And coincidentally, today is the first day in the month of June 2026. Now, like I always say at the beginning of the month, take time to reflect on the previous month, or even reflect from January so far, as a trader, how good has your result been? Are you improving? Are you getting better? Are you more profitable than you used to be at the beginning of the year? It's always good to do this. It's part of you going back to your trading journal and try to see what you were doing right that has given you good results, or what you're doing wrongly, which could be affecting your profitability. Always take time to reflect. Reflecting is very important when it comes to trading. You don't just keep trading anyhow. There is a popular saying that if you continue doing the same thing the same way, you don't expect a new result. So it's a time for you to sit down and reflect. What are you doing wrong? Find a way to improve it so that it can become profitable in the month of June. Okay, so with that, let's get started. I just hope that this month will be a far better one than the previous months we've had so far this year. So we're looking at the fundamentals as usual, because why do we check the fundamentals? Because the fundamentals actually determine market direction while entries are made with the technicals. Now, there are times when we don't have a clear fundamental, so we just rely purely on technical in such a situation. So I'm on forexfactory.com now. I want to look at the upcoming fundamental events for this week. All right, so today being Monday, we'll look just at the key events. Good morning to everyone greeting me in the comment section. Good morning to you. Ayomiko, I believe you can hear me now. The time you were dropping that chat, I've not started yet, but I believe you can hear me clearly now. Good morning, Dr. Babatunde Emmanuel, Madam Onaji, good morning and happy new month to you also. So today, Monday, what are the key events? We have three. Okay, one already took place in the course of the night. That's the FOMC member Powell already gave a speech by 1:30 a.m. That's passed. So the next event for today will be ISM manufacturing PMI and ISM manufacturing prices. Both will take place by 3 p.m. Now, both of them combined together. The first one is actually a high impact, while the ISM manufacturing price is a medium impact, but both combined could give some volatility on the USD by 3 p.m. I want us to watch out for those two news events by 3 p.m. And on Tuesday, the key event for Tuesday, we're going to be having core CPI flash estimate, both of them from the Eurozone by 10 a.m. tomorrow. This will likely give volatility on the euro because CPI is a major economic indicator that talks about inflation. So we should watch out for this. And tomorrow, also Tuesday, by 3 p.m., the Bank of England Governor Bailey will give a speech. This could also bring about an impact upon the market. And on Wednesday, though jolt job openings too could impact upon the market, but with a minimal level of volatility, that's still tomorrow USD. But our focus will be more on the CPI from the Eurozone. On Wednesday, there will be GDP quarterly from Australia. This will really bring impact upon the Australian dollar, but it's 2:30 a.m. Nigerian time. So that time, many of us will be sleeping. But if you feel you want to stay away to catch some 20, 30, 50 pips, there's no harm in doing that. And the other key event on Wednesday will be ADP non-farm employment change. This always comes up before the NFP. NFP is likely to come up this Friday. So watch out for the ADP non-farm employment change on Wednesday by 1:15 p.m. And on Thursday, we have unemployment claims as the major event for the day on Thursday. Then we have the CPI unemployment claims from the United States by 1:30 p.m. The CPI from Switzerland by 7:30 a.m. Even though it's medium impact, but then CPI is CPI. Watch out for the CHF 7:30 a.m. CPI and 1:30 p.m. unemployment claims. That's on Thursday. And Friday, the major event on Friday is the biggest one. We have the average hourly earnings, non-farm employment change, and unemployment rate all of them from the United States by 1:30 p.m. And this one, we're going to be trading it live. So I will encourage you to join us on Friday. So how do you prepare ahead for this NFP? Now, we always trade NFP and CPI live every month. I believe those who have been with us for a while knows this. So make sure you have a funded account to join us to trade live that day. We're trading live, we're making money live. So join us on Friday. So if you're on this call this morning, you don't have an account with PU Prime, you can go ahead and open a trading account, verify your account, and fund it ahead of the news event. Now, simultaneously that Friday, we have employment change and unemployment rate from Canada, but actually we are not going to be really trading this one. Our focus will be on the US dollar. So just watch out. All right. So with that being said, let's look at the technicals and look at what to expect from the higher time frame, for this week. Now, I have some setup I've been monitoring, which I strongly believe market should go in that direction in the course of the week. Now, for the dollar index, for me, it's in a bit of a confused state for now until we get further clarity as regards the direction is expected to go. Now, last week, Friday, the dollar index closed as a rejection candle on a resistance on support level. Technically, that should give us some rally in dollar, but like I said, it's just in a confused state. I will just be watching it until I get clarity as regards the direction the dollar is expected to go. So I don't want to say anything much at the moment because there are certain parameters I'm not seeing to give me that full-fledged confidence that price will go to the upside. But then I'm looking closely at the USD card. I've been monitoring this instrument since I think the middle of last week thereabout. Now on this is the daily time frame. The overall trend here is bearish. It's very, very sharp and clear cut that we have an overall bearish trend here. Price has made a series of lower high, lower high, lower high, and sometime last week price also touched the zone, all in a bearish direction. Now upon touching that trend line, price equally formed a bearish engulfing candlestick pattern. That's right here. That is also an indication of a proposed bearish movement. So if you flip down to the 4-hour time frame on this one, uh, I'm seeing what is looking like price forming a kind of a head and shoulder pattern, shoulder head, second shoulder, and a drop, which is still in line with the bearish bias which I'm seeing on the higher time frame. I just need to put a neckline right here, and I can take it a step further by also drawing my rising wedge pattern. Rising wedge is a bearish reversal pattern. All right. So in the course of this week, I'll be watching out closely for price to break out below this box, which is in neckline region, and that will lead to a massive bearish movement on the USD card. So I'm bearish on the USD card. I can't remember if I mentioned it last week. I might have, but it's getting a lot clearer now. And if price breaks out in the bearish direction, the closest point of call will be Fibonacci 38.2, and that can give as much as 24 pips. Then followed by Fibonacci 50, which is about 58 pips, and Fibonacci 90, 61.8 as much as 96 pips. So we have about 24 to 96 pips that we can catch on this instrument this week. So I'm bearish on the USD card on 4-hour. Now that doesn't mean that you cannot still trade it on 1 hour if you're a day trader. Like I always say, the goal of this analysis session is to give us direction. Entry can be by your discretion based on your personal trading strategy. If you want to trade this on 1 hour, it's very possible. It's just for you to come down to the 1 hour time frame, possibly wait for a breakout, a retest, and a continuation. That will work better for you as a day trader. For those who are swing traders, they are purely looking at the 4-hour time frame, and the confluence we're looking out for is actually price breaking out below the support, sorry, below the neckline region. RSI is already below 50, and we're looking at our MACD also to fully cross below zero, though that's easier to happen now. But when that happens, those are the two major triggers we're looking for as a swing trader. But as a day trader, we're looking for a breakout, a retest, and a continuation in the bearish direction. So we're bearish on the USD card on both 1 hour and 4 hour time frame. Now, similarly
Sir, can
to,
you give us parameter on it,
so,
please?
sorry, I didn't get that.
I say, can you give us parameter on the breakout? Thank you.
What do you mean by parameter? You want me to give you exact figures?
Yes, the parameter of where you marked that if in case it breaks, that parameter, that area, that neckline you are talking about on the downward side.
The neckline is around 1.3766.
Okay.
Anywhere
Okay.
below that region, you should be looking out for a sell. All right, so next I'm looking at this week is the NZD card. It's very similar to the USD card, but even it's given a lot more probability because it combines both the trend line and the resistance. When you have such kind of setup, the probability is often higher. So on the daily time frame also, sorry, this one is even weekly. On the weekly time frame, we have an overall bearish trend, price making lower high, and the last week candle touching the lower high. Now there's a confluence of resistance and trend line meeting right here. So at this confluence zone is another confirmation we should be looking at a bearish breakout on the NZD card this week. Now I'm going out to the daily to see. I'm not getting anything much here on the daily. Apart from that fact, price is actually within the resistance range, 4 hour, 1 hour. Presently, not getting some candlesticks I should see, but notwithstanding, on the 1 hour time frame, I have a rising wedge pattern. RSI is still above 50, though our goal is to see it cross below 50, and MACD is to cross below zero. So until that happens, we just watch this closely as the week unfolds. But then if we're able to get that confluence where RSI cross below 50, MACD below zero, and price, now we have a fake breakout here. We need to also mark that region. So I will put in a box around that area as we anticipate price to break below that region. So if price makes a clean break below this region, RSI below 50, MACD below zero, then we should be ready to trigger a sell on the NZD card. Now this is purely a day trade, it's not swing, even though it's coming from the weekly, but it's clearer on the 1 hour time frame. And projected profit on this, okay, we cannot as well look at the Fibonacci level. You can see it's close to that region, so we can as well make that area, anything below that area, as our entry price. So the closest Fibonacci level will be 38.2, and that can give about 30, let's just say roughly 30 pips there. Fibonacci 50 can give as much as 58 pips, and Fibonacci 61.8 can give as much as about 83 pips. So let's watch out. So we have both the USD card and the NZD card, to look at this week. The NZD card even much more today because it's a 1 hour time frame. It could break out any moment today. And for the NZD card, we can look at entry below 0.82176 because that's the closest level I can see right here. So we're bearish on both the USD card and the NZD card. Let's watch it very, very closely. And thirdly, I'm looking at the Euro JPY. Now this one is very, very straightforward. All right. But let me just start by removing all the lines first so that we can get a clearer outlook. Now on the daily, which is also reflected on the 4 hour time frame, we have a downtrend movement on the Euro JPY. Now this is the daily time frame. We can clearly see the trend line in a downward move, indicating a bearish trend. And we've seen a series of rejection candles here telling us that, it looks like the bullish trend is getting weakened and the sellers are gradually trying to take over the market. Though in reality, it's still a green rejection candle, is not a red one, but it's still showing us that some strength is reducing on those candles, and it looks like the sellers are trying to take over the market. And secondly, we have a support turned resistance zone right here. We have a support turned resistance, in that range. That is also indicative of a potential reversal on this instrument. So we take it down from the daily to the 4-hour time frame. So on the 4-hour, we can see clearly we have a downtrend and a support, both of them indicating a bearish movement. This region now being the confluence zone where we have to look for the possibility of a bearish movement. Now, if you're looking at this from the swing trade perspective, if you're a swing trader, then we have our rising wedge there, which is also a confirmation of a potential bearish movement. So on swing on 4-hour, we can have price break. And now for a swing trader, you need to wait for a clear break below the lower trend line for you to trigger a sell, with further confirmation with the RSI below 50 and possibly MACD below 0 will give you a good trigger for a bearish trade on 4-hour. But then for day traders, we can as well still go closer to 1 hour and look out for possibility of entry. Now, on 1 hour time frame, price might still retest this trend line. If that happens, then we will have a full-fledged double top pattern here with this region as a neckline, and that can see price trigger downwards at least to touch this trend line. That's very possible. And if also price doesn't touch that, if price doesn't go up before it comes down, that's actually the best scenario. But even if that does not happen, because the overall trend is bearish, we can still look out for a sell. There's a resistance turn support here, resistance turn support. So if price breaks out below this region, we will still see price drop to that lower trend line. So either 1 hour or 4-hour, we are bearish. The difference is that if you're trading 1 hour, definitely you're not looking for as much profit as someone that is going on a swing. So if you are trading on 1 hour, you're looking at your entry anywhere below 185.60. Yeah, anywhere below 185.60 can be made as your entry point, and you can target the lower trend line. Let's look at this region also, some pips around that area as a profit taking level, and that can be as much as about 30 pips, just say 25-30 pips, and that's not bad, for a day trade. So this is very possible in the course of today for day traders. All right, so we're bearish both on 1 hour and on 4-hour on the Euro JPY. For those that are going to be trading this swing, like I said earlier, you need to wait for a clear breakout below the lower trend line. So let's look at the Fibonacci. Maybe that can give us clarity as regards our entry. All right, so for those who are going to be doing swing trading, the entry might be too far from the Fibonacci level. I think we can still use below that region that we're looking as profit taking for the 1 hour. That can be our entry for 4-hour. So if you're looking at entry on 4-hour, you may be looking at below 185.16, and you can ride the trend, downwards from there. And a Fibonacci 23.6 is quite close, just on, okay, not too bad, some 19-20 pips. And Fibonacci 38.2 can give as much as 78 pips, and Fibonacci 50 about 121 pips, on like that. So we're bearish on the Euro JPY. All right, I've analyzed three instruments so far. USD card were bearish, NZD card were bearish, and Euro JPY were equally bearish. Now I want to take us. I'm looking at gold next, and I want to quickly take us to I'm coming. All right, let's look at it from the technical angle first. Let's look at gold from the technical angle. All right, this is gold. For those who are on my WhatsApp status, I dropped an analysis for gold over the weekend. I don't know if any one of you saw it. Always check out my WhatsApp status. My official PA private number, I drop analysis there. So from that analysis, I said I was going to be bearish on gold, at least the early part of this week, and that's playing out as I dropped it. So how did I come about that? Coming to the daily time frame on gold, we can see price in an overall downtrend. Overall downtrend. Price making a series of lower highs, lower high, and this last week Friday candle equally another lower high. So we have a bearish trend there. Now, last week also the candle on Friday closed as a rejection candle on that trend line. Not only that, on this there is now a resistance zone here. So this is a confluence. This is a very high probability setup. We have the trend line, we have the resistance, we have the rejection candle, everything pointing towards a downward movement on gold. That's all from the daily time frame. And if you switch down to 4 hour, it's still the same thing. You can see the trend line moving downwards, downward trend, and 4 hour giving us a very sharp rejection candle. And gold is moving down just exactly as I analyze it will. The market opened yesterday, last night at 10 p.m. Gold opened 11. All right. So between then and now, gold has dropped to the tune of about 355 pips. There's still potential for more. Let's move down to a lower time frame and look for possible entries, or let's look out for what may happen next on gold. Okay, now you can see that RSI on gold on 30 on 15 minutes already hit 30. So we should expect a slight retracement, then a continuation, downwards. Now, let me go back to 4 hour. I still believe price may drop to this previous support. That's why you can see the box there. Then maybe from there we may see a bullish movement, but at least for now, that's our focus. Price may drop to this uh, previous support zone because it looks like price is trying to form an inverse head and shoulder, which will lead to a bullish breakout, but that's still futuristic. Let's focus on what is possible for now. I strongly believe price may drop here. Though if you go back to 1 hour, we will also not neglect the fact that there is a slight support here, which price may react to. All right. So because RSI is oversold on 15 minutes, I said we need to take caution. We may see a slight retracement and a continuation downwards and downwards. So how do we trade this? We'll go back to 15 minutes time frame and we mark the current low. Now the current low is actually at a support, a very minor support here. Please mute your device if you're joining us so that you don't distract the class. And please, if you have your video feed on, kindly put it off. You really don't need your video. So we have a minor support zone here. We may see a retracement and a breakout. But once price breaks out below this box, you can trigger a sell to the next, support zone. And that can give you some quick profits, some close to some 70, 80 pips you can catch on that. And if you want to hold on longer, then, you know, this is what I'm saying. We may see a breakout down here, another retracement, then down here. But overall, we are very bearish on gold. So for the first entry, anywhere below price 4501, you may look out for a sell. Second entry, anywhere below price 4489.9.35, you may look for a sell. Don't forget the drill. We're getting a retracement, a breakout, a retracement, a breakout to the downside. So we're bearish on gold today. All right, that'll be all from my analysis this morning. I've analyzed four instruments for us. USD card, we're bearish on 1 hour, 4 hour. NZD card, we're bearish on 1 hour. Euro JPY, we're bearish on both 4 hour and 1 hour. And gold, we're bearish on 15 minutes. So all of them, we're bearish on all. All right, if you have any question or any specific instrument you want me to analyze, you can post it. I'll quickly do that as we begin to round up. Don't forget I said that Friday this week we're having NFP live trading session. I will encourage you to join us for this live session. And Tuesdays, every Monday we have online training 4 p.m. Join us we'll drop the link. Make sure you join us. And Tuesdays and Thursdays we also have physical training session at Abuja and Lagos office. If you live around those environments, just make sure you join us for those sessions. All right. Mr. Ekpe Ambassador is asking me to check Euro USD and Mr. Yeti Akpan NZD I'm taking just three analysis, so the third person should drop it fast because I won't take anything after that. Okay, so let's look at Euro USD. Like I said, the dollar is very unstable at the moment. Very, very unstable at the moment. So I will encourage that you trade with caution. But notwithstanding, let's look at some possibilities. And don't forget that this morning session, there's no news at all on Mondays. So we could see some rational or slow movements across board on all instruments. So trade with a lot of caution. So for the Euro USD, there's a previous support on resistance here. We have this rejection candle. So we may have some slight bearish movement on the Euro USD. So that's on the daily. If we go back to the 1 hour, if we go down to the 1 hour time frame, we may look out for a breakout below this lower trend line on Euro USD in the course of today. Because so far what I'm seeing here looks like a shoulder, a second shoulder, and we may experience a breakout. You may look out for entry below this region. You may look out for entry below 1.16389 and target a profit of 1.16234. Let's check. That's roughly some 15 pips, which is not bad. If there's a lot of volatility, it may proceed to Fibonacci 78.6 at 1.6066. So we're looking at profit in the range of 15 pips to, let's just say, 30 pips. So let's watch out for this in the course of today on the Euro USD. The proposed head and shoulder, overall trend bearish, proposed head and shoulder, and price will break out downwards. So that's my view on Euro USD for the person asking about the Euro USD. Okay, Mr. Anyeti Akman is asking about NZDJPY. You're welcome, Mr. Ekpe Ambassador. NZDJPY. Okay, then I've already attended to Euro USD Drag Henry. So I'll just take GBPJPY also. So that will be all this morning. NZDJPY, GBPJPY, and we're done. I'm currently checking the NZDJPY. All right, so this, you can see that there was a massive bullish breakout last week, quite massive. Let's check. That breakout generated about let's just say roughly 250 pips. That's a massive one. Now, price is at a key level. Now, if you flip back to previous candles, you see that that key level is touching a previous support, is touching a previous resistance. All right. So that's a very strong level. Each time price touch that level, there is a reaction. So that means there's likely going to be another reaction now that price is back to that level. I'm going back now I'm checking the monthly time frame. Okay, price is just on daily. Price has reacted twice in the past, and currently price is on that level. So we are expecting possibly a reaction, maybe some retracement or a reversal, any of the two around this region. So coming down to 1 hour time frame, which is native to us for entry, or let's even go down to 15 minutes. Let's see. No, I think 1 hour is better. 1 hour is better. Now, usually it's often better when you find something like a candlestick or a chart pattern at this point. It gives more clarity for entry. But currently, we can't see that. What we're seeing is just price ranging the market in a range. So this is what I will advise you do. That doesn't mean you can't trade it, but it's often better when we have higher probabilities. So we mark this as a range. So if price breaks out below this box, you can take a sell. You are not looking for a buy. It is purely a sell you are looking out for. So we're very, very bearish on the NZDJPY. And you can look for entry below the box, below 95.019. And you can target any of the Fibonacci levels. The closest one is Fibonacci 94.849, followed by 94.478. At least price will hit one or both of these levels. Fibonacci 94.849 can give you like 18 pips, and Fibonacci 94.478 can give as much as let's say roughly 55 pips. So watch out for that in the course of today. This is a day trade. So finally, I'll look at the GBP JPY. You're welcome, Mr. Japan. All right, so for GBP JPY, we've seen a massive bullish trend, just like we saw on the NZD JPY. Do not so much, but GBP JPY can be very volatile. Let me just check the range of movement. Okay, about 80, really not so much. But I think the action here would be more on the 4 hour. Now, it also looks as if this guy is still on that bullish movement. It looks like that bull is not over yet. But then I can't ignore the fact that there's a previous support turned resistance right here on the 4 hour. So let's go back to the daily again. That depends on the market volatility. The key resistance is actually the one above here. All right, that's why we have the major resistance where the major reversal can happen. So in other words, price might still go up before we get the breakout. It's very possible. But then if price will also, if volatility will slow down, price may respect the 4 hour support on resistance and reverse from there. So these are the two possibilities. Either price go up to hit this place and we have a massive downward movement, or it respect this 4 hour and it drops from there. Those are the two major possibilities. But whichever way it happens, we can always come down to our lower time frame and mark possible entries. Now, I will want to look at it on both angles. So if it hit this place and reverse, once price breaks out below the lower trend line, you can trigger a sell. And if it goes above, okay, that above will be a bit different. Price will break out to retest, continue till it hits this place. And the important thing is still breaking out below this lower resistance on support for us to look at clear or clear entry. So, but either way it goes, we are very bearish on the GBP JPY. Okay, so I responded to the three requests here: Euro JPY, which we are bearish on; NZD JPY we are bearish; and GBP JPY. All right, so we've come to the end of the analysis session. The link will be posted to your group. Make sure you watch it again. Take note of those possible entry levels I marked, because that can really help you a great deal. Okay, welcome to a brand new month. Take care. Have a great day and a great week ahead. Bye bye.
Okay,
You're welcome.